he said in Hebrews 10, verse 5, 7, and 9 is the most awesome verses in the Bible in understanding times and seasons. Verse 5 says, "Lo, I come, a body you've prepared for me." So his body was prepared. And then he says in verse 7, in the volume of the book it's written. So this is where we read about the heavens and the earth being prepared, and then we read about his body being prepared, and then his preparation for his body. So it's like more than you can just read here. You've got to read in the Spirit. So if we just look at preparation, the earth preparation, we find in Genesis 1 and 2. He says in Genesis 2, he says, "In these 7 days, God hath created the heavens and the earth." Now, what happens in Genesis 1 is it is literally the DNA of time. It is literally everything that's going to happen in time. And time has 7 days or 7 generations. He says in 3 John, he says, "Do not be ignorant of this thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years." So a very awesome verse is in Genesis 2, verse 4, where he says, these are the generations. These 7 days of creation are the generations that God has created the heavens and the earth and all the host of them in the day that he has created him. So the whole creation story for God is but a day. And he did it like in the form of a garden, and everything was made there. And we know what man was placed there. So the problem is when people go look for the Garden of Eden, it's not a place on the earth. It was all over the earth. It is a realm. This is how God made it. From the beginning, he said, "Let there be light." And he divided light and darkness. And light, he called day, and darkness he called night. But time was only made on day 4. So this light and day was realms. It was not a physical place. It's realms. So when they lost the glory, it's like they lost their clothing. The light life, the life was in the light, became blood life. And the minute they lost it, time kicked in. And the patterns that everything was made started in a progression towards perfection, because God will not rest until everything is the way he planned it. The end is rest. That's why Isaiah 46 verse 10 says, "The end is determined from the beginning." Corona is not rest, so it's not the end. Guys, there's many things that's still going to happen on the earth. Ups and downs and governments but it doesn't change the purposes of God. All the people in the past have lived their lives, but God's purposes progressively goes on. So what is happening in the world, that there is an increase of the knowledge of good and evil. But they're going to come to a point where they realize they will have to adjust to the tree of life. And the last branches of the tree of life was the knowledge and the fear of the Lord. And it's only those that step into his body prepared that's going to bring creation back. Because Joel says, he says, "Fear not, O land, I will come to you, and I will give you the rain in its season, the former rain moderately, and the latter and the former in one." So the season where there's former rain and latter and former rain, that is the due season. And this is the time after the cross. And we need to get it. This is the time that Jesus went to prepare a place. And what is the place? The garden. He took us back to the garden. Amazingly, the night Jesus was betrayed, the next morning, he went over the brook Kidron and he entered the garden where he often resided with his disciples. They came to him and said, he said, "Who do you seek?" And he said, "Jesus of Nazareth." And when he said Jesus of Nazareth, everything came together. Come on. They fell down for a second time. He said, "Who do you seek?" Jesus of Nazareth. They fell down again. The third time, Peter took the sword and tried to protect the tree. And Jesus said, "No, The tree has to be chopped down. And this is where Isaiah's prophecy comes together. And he says, out of the stump of Jesse will come a little branch. The Spirit of God is on him. Spirit of wisdom, understanding, counsel, and might, knowledge, and the fear of the Lord. Wow, this was the preparation so that we can go back into the place. I'm going to prepare you a place. The place is a garden.